Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 10 of the D-Hoop University podcast. This is your boy, Darrell Harris, also known as D-Hoopster, joined by none other than proud alum, frequent Season 3 contributor, and just wrapping up a full slate, full season of Vegas Scoreboard Express, man. It's appropriate to have you on here today because it's the voice we're going to keep in the loop over here. JB, what's going on?
Man, I'm here. I'm rocking. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for bringing me back to the class. I feel that you're the Roy Casagrande of basketball, okay? You have such a knowledge that goes, you know who I'm talking about. That's a very smart man. I watch all of his lectures. Very true. But again, I think you are in that same vein as the leader and head professor of D-Hoop University, as Mr. Casagrande or Professor Casagrande is, or Dr. Casagrande is for the Austin School. So again, thanks for having me back. I know that we have been covering a lot of college basketball over the last 2 months, especially on my show. And to see what has happened, I can say that if I wasn't such a dog better and like to get value on the line, you know, my show covers a very in-depth sports betting aspect of what sports is about. I could have never predicted, nor would I have ever thought to predict, that all the number one seeds would have trounced everyone in front of them. I mean, the games were not close many times, and the smaller seeds look like middle school teams out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, we got to talk about the climate a little bit, and I'm glad you got the ball going in that direction because I'll throw this cold open question at you, which I'm sure you've got to see a little bit. But Cooper Flagg is different, man. He is beginning to transcend namesake and actual name, image, and likeness in a way that a prospect just hasn't in a while. Like people,
I would say, I agree with what you're saying for this era, but I remember Duke University as a place in the 90s, late 80s, 90s when I lived in North Carolina and was fortunate enough to have been around some of these players and, you know, saw local kids play in the ACC. Duke had a player named Christian Laettner. He is the greatest Duke player of all time. He is the greatest Duke player of all time. Grant Hill nipping at his heels with Jay Williams right there in the top three. Elton Brand at 4 and Johnny Dawkins at 5. That's the squad. Okay. Cooper Flagg looks like the Plumlee brothers to me. He looks like the cousin. Tyler Hansbrough. I've seen it before. It's just this era hasn't seen it because he reminds me of Chet Holmgren. The most recent player that I can say that is a direct comparison to Cooper Flagg is Chet Holmgren. Okay? Unless Cooper Flagg starts eating peanut butter sandwiches, he's going to have a tough time transitioning to an NBA that is getting a bit more physical. So I don't think that Cooper Flagg is necessarily an anomaly or a unicorn. I do think that he's special for this time, but we've seen similar body style, play type. I mean, Chet Holmgren was that guy. He couldn't be stopped.
No, I don't see it. No.
He was like, nah, man. He's like, nah, I'm going to let the air out of your tires, JV.
I see a complete different, I see a different beast over.
Adam Morrison. No, I know he went to the. Come on, man. I've seen this.
That's.
These were guys with even higher profiles than that.
No, I don't mind the perspective. I don't mind the historical context. Hey, this could be a bait and switch. We've seen it before. That they've had,
We've seen it before.
Come and go.
Yes.
No, man. No.
Cherokee Park.
It's not the case. It's not the case with Cooper Flagg, man. I don't believe so. I think this guy is an elite 3-level shot maker. He's got drive. He can facilitate. He can highlight reel, alley-oops.
If he really wants to be dominant, model his game after Kevin Durant. If he really wants to be that guy, go watch Kevin Durant tapes for the next 10 years. And then
That's
and
who he
then we
actually
can talk
reminds me
about
of.
this guy.
I I think that there is a foundation there that it's ready to be molded into a Kevin Durant in a way that there hasn't been, and a player with two-way potential because it's the defense as well. He can stay
Yes.
in front of the quickest and most,
And that's where
proficient.
Porzingis, when I look at Cooper Flagg, that's what does set him apart. Is his
There's a two-way
defense.
competitiveness.
Yes.
There's a toughness. There's a dog.
There's some acting ability.
Something that's all matching skill.
A little bit of
It matches
K-Fabi.
the skill. So it's the combination, man. I see
Let
it
me
on
get the
both sides of the
wheelchair.
court. I
No.
see it on both sides of the court.
Yeah.
And it's just a unique situation. I think that they were my finals pick. I didn't make a bracket this year because I wasn't too invested leading up, and I actually watched way more of the tournament than I expected. But it's kind of like that every year. And yeah, all of the one seeds, it reflects the compounding of the conferences that has happened,
That's a big
where
part of it, yes.
there's familiarity across the board.
The way I would lay it out is that with the NBA, your talent pool of competition is now global, and with college, it went from being regional to now national. Cooper Flagg was a kid from Maine who went to Florida, who ended up in North Carolina. You're going to see that a lot more. And then with the proliferation of the transfer portal, you're looking at now a national recruiting scene that was never really going on before, except for the top 50 kids. If you weren't a McDonald All-American, don't look to travel more than 2 states over for your college career. That was just the way that it was. Now you're seeing kids who are averaging 6 points a game saying, I'm going in the transfer portal and someone's going to offer me $500,000 to sit on the bench at the new school. There's going to be a reckoning. And when you look at the Final Four, all Final Four seeds, I talked about this on my show. There are other options now. We watched in college football for the past 3 seasons during the initial NIL era, the Coach Prime era, where teams completely opted out of bowl games. And that was the complete opposite of 20, 30 years ago. Becoming bowl eligible was the entire point of playing college football. It was about program, meaning you stayed there at minimum of 2 to 3 years to develop the skills and the wherewithal
Yeah.
to give you that mindset on how to get better, how to stay healthy, so when you go to the next level, you don't end up washing out. Basketball has always been fragmented. So when you're taking players who were 15 seeds, 16, the 4 play-in teams, everybody 8 seed and down get wiped out, where's your FAU? Where's your Valparaiso? You got Farak Manakesh. He's a new head coach. That's the guy who hit the 3 back in Valparaiso when I was in, I think 8th grade. That's over because he was a regional superstar, went to a regional school, played in a program. Program means you need at least 2 years there. And he was able to parlay that 20 years later into a head coaching position. 20 years from now, you're not going to see any of these kids coaching. They're all going to be on documentaries and podcasts because their careers were so fragmented that they don't have an understanding of the process on what it takes to become a winner and what it takes to become an excellent ball player. That's why you have number 1 seeds
Let me see.
across the board in the NCAA tournament, because every single one of the smaller seeds, if you will, the lower seeds, were all transfer students. Look at the team of Indiana. Oh, we didn't get in the tournament. Well, all of you guys got on the bus that Friday. And the coach is flying out as well. Look at the kid from McNeese State. I'm the team manager and I'm following my head coach to NC State. Well, the team manager just stole $1 million of you guys' NIL money. Okay, it's the commodification.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, go
Let's
ahead.
see. Hold on. Because there's a couple things I want to throw in there.
Go ahead.
And I want to talk about UNLV both ways, football and basketball, in just a moment, and some projections and where they're trending. But this kind of goes back to what I mentioned Saturday morning on your show as well about what does it mean to be in the tournament and what does the
Doesn't mean anything
March
anymore.
performance? No, I take it. I disagree. I actually think it's pretty. It's a difference maker in the fact that
I can't name any of these
there is a
teams that just
reason.
played,
That's
except for the
fine.
top 5.
There's plenty of people. The majority can't. Neither can I. I can't go deep into it, but there's incentive for guys to come back now because of the financial
They're
deals that are on the
coming
table. They're
back. Yeah,
talking
go ahead.
about one of the New Mexico kids who just transferred, left the Mountain West, is going to UCLA, getting money that an entire program in the Mountain West has that they just don't have now in the big that a school like UCLA has. They
And
took
what
away
has
the
he
fact
done?
that
What has he
yeah,
done? Can he be can he
could
go
be
down an
something
escalator? No, I'm looking for
but
fame.
that
If I'm giving
reflects.
you money, I want people to know who you are. I need you to promote my product. I need you to promote my business. If you're
Well,
some
that's
kid
already it's happening to some extent, and it's a different thing where you're a school like LA,
maybe, yeah.
where
Yeah,
there's what that is just, hey, this is still you flexing your resources. You
right.
can do that. A school in the Mountain West cannot. I really hope that Deion Thomas decides to stay because of the first impression that Josh Pastner has made so far in Las Vegas. Because we know he has roots here. It also is like a double whammy when you lose players like this to the portal, because we've gotten, talking about the running rebels, we've gotten some of the bumps and bruises of development from DJ the past 2 seasons. So now that you've got a taste of, conference play and a conference tournament, you're going to go somewhere else and another school reaps the benefits of you cutting your teeth over here, which no shame in that decision, because make the best decision for you in all these cases. But
Hmm.
that's just one of the bitter,
A lot of it's
realities of
peer
the of,
pressure
of the
too.
league, the NILs. But I think there's a chance for Josh to really establish something. I think that he's already got intrigue poked, especially what he just did with our folks over on Sports Rap. Um, that's getting picked up. What he's trying to put down, I think it's getting picked up. What Dan Mullen is putting down. We have, I think, Alex Orji from Michigan on the
Right,
team now.
right.
We've got the other quarterback from somewhere else on the team now. And there was a graphic of who are the most long shots at crashing the college football playoff. And UNLV was 10th on that list. And I think we've definitely got a shot at winning the Pac-12 championship.
UNLV could have made it this year if it wasn't for Odom already having his plane ticket after the Boise game. But again, I digress because these kids now have opportunity for cash tournaments. We have one here in Vegas called the Crown. And when I saw what this was about, it reminded me of the CBI and CIT. The only difference was those were tournaments where teams that felt snubbed from the NCAA tournament and the NIT paid money to get the exposure for marketing. And those two tournaments actually were spurred by sports betting because it gave more games to the sports books.
Yep.
So sponsors bought airtime on these particular networks to run their ads while these games were being played. Shady, but true. But now that
Mutual interest, I can see it.
the proliferation of these kids who have produced nothing, who've made no name for themselves outside of their local area, being nationally recruited, it's a double-edged sword for them. Number one, no one knows who you are except for your Instagram followers, and that may be your entire audience. Now, Cooper Flagg, he's risen above that. But there's one. I'm from the era where there was 20 of these guys. Your NBA draft lottery was a thing because you knew the 20 coldest dudes in the country that you've been seeing rock the nation, and a couple of high school kids that's been told this cold, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, guys like Jermaine O'Neal, Amari Stoudemire, shalom to him. The reality is simple. These new kids are now being paid to be essentially fodder. If you look at the name of what they're getting offered, name, image, and likeness, they're just getting shuffled. When you imagine you end your college career and you put up your trophy room, and you've got 9 different jerseys because you transferred due to the COVID rules, 6 different universities. You finished school at 27 with a doctorate, and your trophy room has no trophies, just a lot of jerseys, a lot of signed photos. This is what's happening. Because the reality is, if you're a number 15 seed in this year's tournament, why would you want to do that next year? The travel, the expense, the cost. Coach at McNeese State, oh my God, they played so hard and made it to the tournament and lost the general manager and the coach. What incentive was it for McNeese State to spend any money on those players for NIL deals where not only do they make it to the tournament and get sacrificed, but now you've lost your head coach. So now you have a new hiring process, new money, and just more kids that you're shuffling in.
That's rough.
I mean, they got Master P. Dude, they got Master P running a college basketball program. Have those kids call Ricky Williams. I'm not being facetious. I'm being real. Have them call Ricky Williams and ask them how did that work out for him. Okay?
No.
It is what it is.
This is real. No, we're in uncharted territory. This is all happening in real time.
And to throw another thing out there, and I forgot to interject with this. I hate to cut you off. These schools really aren't paying these kids. Schools aren't paying them.
Not yet. Not yet.
Well, this collective bargaining agreement, trust me, that's going in boosters' pockets for recoup. Why? Because this is what's going to happen. Right now, it's third-party entities paying these kids who are local. There's something called a clawback clause in many contracts, meaning that if you breach that contract, meaning you move or you transfer, they're going to want that money back. Now, right now, kids are skating. They're skating for 2 reasons. Number one, most of these kids aren't getting paid. They're signing promises to pay. We've seen this. I'm not going to go into it where it actually happened, but times are new now. But this is going on all over the country, especially in the basketball world. These kids are now more getting sneakers and apparel, things that were being given 30 years ago that would create a violation or a sanction. This is now the pay. We're giving cash equivalents out there. See, mind you, remember, I'm still in law school. I'm almost done. And the reality is simple. A cash equivalent is valuable consideration, but the covenants that you have to reach to get that, if that covenant in your contract says you have to stay at this school for 5 years or for 2 years, and you say, well, I've got...
Yeah, it could be anything. Definitely got to do your due
You know what I mean?
diligence on that.
You know what I mean? I got BYU offering me $1 million to come over there. You know, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Because, again, these kids are no faces. They're milk carton. Cooper Flagg and then everyone else. Florida. If you remember, I go back to my old NIL show 3-4 years ago. I predicted this. You're going to know teams. You're rarely going to know players. You're going to know coaches and teams. We can tell you Florida is the number 1 seed. You can't name the starting 5 unless you're a complete basketball nerd. These statements that I'm making were unheard of to be said 30 years ago. And I know they keep saying 30 years ago. Basketball changed quickly. When I say 30 years ago, I'm talking roughly mid-90s.
No, it's moving. It's moving.
And
20 years ago is early 2000s. So,
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you're looking at the guys, but see, here's the thing, the overlap of generation. College ball was good this year, and I'm not knocking it. I love to watch it.
That's what I want to get to. That's
I didn't even care that the kids sucked. It was like going to the park, and the kids was balling. I just like to see it. I didn't care that I didn't know who they were. I didn't care that I didn't know who was their NIL sponsor. I didn't care about that. I just saw good basketball. And that's one thing I do like about the number 1 seeds. Well, dang it, if you're a number 1 seed, run the table. Don't get upset in the 3rd round or the 2nd round. St. John's. You know. But, you know, the reality is simple. If you're a high seed, show me something. We just watched an Elite 8. And to get to the Final Four between 1 and 2, 3 seeds. That's what you expect to see based on seeding. So it's actually a mathematical formula that just came out to, you know, make a true statement.
Yeah, no, it made sense.
1 is 1.
And 1, it's fun. There's a few snapshots of different methods to get there. You have Auburn, where they have the oldest starting lineup that we've seen in some time. Average age of pushing 23. And you have Duke with all these number 1 freshmen who are top of their class, top
took the Kentucky model,
or the purists,
or the Calipari model, if you will.
One and dones. Florida is a combination of, we got some transfer pickups. We got some, he's been here for a minute grinding.
Got some guys from off of South Beach.
We're playing a team as a team.
Yeah.
And I'm in Houston, who is another recent powerhouse who just said, hey, we're going to play
I know that style of basketball. I'm going to tell you that style of basketball.
Texas. Yeah, it's just that, hey,
that style of basketball.
Easy.
Let me give you
easy.
I'm going to tell you the history of where that basketball came from. I played it when I was a child. That's Columbus County basketball. That's Waccamaw Conference basketball, 2A North Carolina basketball. We're going to play defense, and we're going to throttle you. You're not going to score, but we're going to score. Chris Wilcox, shout out my cousin Chris Wilcox, Whiteville High School. I played at Whiteville myself. Put up a few numbers, you know what I mean? And then I moved up to New York, and kept it going. But the reality is simple. We would throttle teams. We would beat you 65-40. But you would feel that. Pause. You'd be like, damn, we just got beat by 25 and couldn't even get a layup. And you're scoring 10 points a quarter. We cooking you. Yeah. That's who he is. He's from Lumberton, North Carolina. He grew up playing that type of basketball with 12 cousins. You don't even dribble because the ball ain't got no air. You're basically playing football with a basketball. And you got to play keep away. That's what Houston does. I talked about it on my show.
Even what San Diego State has done in recent years isn't too different from that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lane for that so that's a unique thing. I definitely want to get into some who's hooping. I'll start the league talk with a story that you all should be seeing right about now, and if not, it's worth talking about still because it's an interesting tale. But the Boston Celtics are smashing the 3-point record books this year. And it was foreshadowed on opening night. They beat the New York Knicks 131 or to like 109. And they made 29 threes. Tied a record. Right. Opening night. Hung the banner. Got the rings. And this season, as a team, they're 40 off the Warriors in 2022 for the season-long team record for made threes. Isaiah Thomas, believe it or not, holds the team record for single season made threes when he averaged 30 back in 2016-17. Eric White is one shy of that number as we record. The Celtics have 8 games left. He's not the only person that's going to pass it. Jason Tatum and Peyton Pritchard are 6 or 7 threes behind that number. And with 8 games left, I expect them to pass that as well. So just imagine that they're this team that...
It's the greatest shooting era of the NBA. Contrary to what a lot of the old school guys are hating on it, talking about skills and playing brute ball. These are the greatest shooters the NBA has ever seen. The greatest collection of shooters. You're talking about who's hooping. Let's shout out NBA kids with the jump shot. They got it. I have seen less bricks this season. Look, we talking NBA. Remember last year, that was almost like talking to me about burnt toast. But this year, I have watched this season. And these guys have been hitting shots. They've been getting to the basket. And again, the Celtics, these are good three-point shots. That's what's scary about the Celtics. These threes you're talking about they're making, they're in the passing rotation. They're in the flow of the offense. And even when the play breaks down, it's an open man. There's no more chucking over 2 defenders. There's no more Jason Tatum trying a Kobe fade away from the top of the key.
Who do you help off of? But you have to help.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's so great about the Celtics is that they're playing to their level, and their level is high-level shooting. You got Kristaps Porzingis when he's healthy coming off the bench, giving you a quick 15, hitting 4 threes. I saw that game when they was playing the Cavs. I was like, when is he healthy? Why is he doing this to my ticket? Of course I took the Cavs. But, the point I'm saying is they understand and can make the open shot. I didn't see that for the past 4 or 5 seasons. It was Trae Young stuff. I'm stepping across half court and I'm bombing it. That's all been gone. I love that. I love that's over. But the Celtics really bought into that. They're playing
where it gets
style. Yeah. It's within the flow of the offense. Yeah, go ahead.
Definitely is. Where it gets dicey is that, the old saying, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. And
that's what I'm saying, though. They make theirs. Those are high efficiency. Look at the percentage. Jason Tatum is 47% right now. What is
Yeah, and I
that?
talked about that. Yeah,
What
he's
is
a little
that?
less than that, but it's insane.
Well, that was
I
last
talked.
stats I checked, but go ahead.
Yeah. Um, I talked about the team record that they're going to catch that Golden State from a couple years ago. They were actually only 12 shy of that record last season, and they won the title. So
That's what
that
I'm
argument kind of
saying.
goes out the window. And some of why they're able to, I wrote about, and it's because through very detailed roster moves, and Brad Stevens deserves a shout out. Um, this
Left the
team
sideline
has,
for the front office. Great move for him. Go ahead. I'm
yeah,
agreeing.
they've constructed a team that can present spacing and shooting at every position, 1 through 5. Most of the time, that 1 through 5 can also switch defensively, 1 through 5, and they never
That's what I was going to
sacrifice
say.
and they
They're
never sacrifice rebounding.
never.
So
They're
you're able
third.
to rebound, get to the rim, shoot, and defend with versatility
Third in
up and
holding
down the
teams'
team.
points. 105 points a game. You play the Celtics, you're going to get 3 indeed. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking for a back-to-back here. I'm looking for the Celtics to get back in the 80s glory with this team, even with Jaylen Brown with his injury, because everything you're saying is exactly what I've been watching all season. Efficiency, lineup change. Oh, we're going small. We're just going to lock you down now. Don't come past half court, half stepping, because we'll keep Porzingis, who you think is playing big man. He's going to fade the wing on the fast break and cash one on you. Whap. Then he comes back.
Yep. And the
And
18 threes and 50 or so or 49 or so threes they attempt per game are both records as well.
Jason Tatum
We haven't seen it at
has
this
made
scale before ever.
238 threes. Did you hear what I just said? I got my stats up right now on CBS.
And he's second on the team.
And he's second. Thank you. They don't miss. Again, who's hooping?
And
Especially
Pritchard's
the
one behind him.
Celtics. Especially the
It's
Celtics.
impressive.
These guys understood the assignment. Look, hit the open
Impressive.
shot. Hit the open shot. I'm looking at 3 points made. Jaylen Brown, 109. Derek White, 244. Palin Pritchard, 237. Al Horford. This man is my age. 101 threes. Cooking you.
Getting it done.
Sam Hauser coming in with garbage minutes. Busted you for 144. These kids don't miss. Talking about who's hooping? The Celtics shooting percentage is the hoop. They throw it at the hoop, and the hoop opens up like, I want that. Pause. The hoop grab. I'm telling you, I'm looking at these 3-point percentages. Field goals made. Jason Tatum has made 622 field goals.
And there's not the element, if you're thinking this is going to translate, Tatum has never missed the second round. They're used to they're used to the postseason.
He will
So
make 1,000
expect it to
field goals
translate.
made. He will tie Larry Bird's record if they can count season and playoffs. He'll get the 1,000 field goals made, which hasn't been done since Larry. That's incredible. And he's still, 27? This guy's going to be
And
this era's
even
ring winner. He's going to get the rings. We thought it was Giannis, but it's Tatum. He's ready.
Man, that's he gets it because he'll start the who's hooping, and he wasn't on the list, but deservedly so. Colin Cowherd just gave him a whole bunch of shout outs. People are seeing clips, but Tatum is, man, he's consistent with his presence for Boston. He gets Boston. I haven't watched that new doc on the Celtics yet, but Tatum has adopted it and has exemplified it from day one.
You just mentioned
never
rebounding.
talk about him.
Yeah. They never do.
He always slips right outside of that conversation.
I think that has a lot to do with the Olympics, though. There's still questions about that.
Whether you're talking some of the best players to play at Duke, I know that he was there for a year, and I get it.
You're right on that. You're right. Throw him on that list because what he's doing.
It's he's the second wave of who you think of, but
JJ Redick too
suggest otherwise. JJ's on that list. That Duke list is ridiculous.
Dude. But going back to rebounding, why does Jason Tatum have 583 rebounds? He's rebounding like a power forward. When I look at Kristaps Porzingis as a center only has 202. If Jason Tatum is
games that he's played twice as many at least too, but he leads the team in rebounding. He's a stud, dude. He's a stud. Consistent. He's as consistent as LeBron was at his peak.
But Jokic is leading in the MVP voting.
There's something interesting happening there.
You know what I'm
Man.
saying? Like, this is what I'm trying to say. What is wrong with? Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted Shea to get it, and I think Shea still has to get it. I think that this late, whatever. I think this is a formality. Whatever happens between now and the end of the year, it's done with. And Jokic just sat for 4 or 5 games, and Shea hasn't. He also is averaging 35 since the All-Star break.
Yeah, and that's
these
the
anomaly seasons. This is in the same category as the Harden, Westbrook MVPs that are deserved. We can't. Hey, you did it. The Allen Iverson MVP, you did it that year. Like what Shea's doing with this young team, and both sides of the ball playing every night. You can't. If you want to hate on his game, it's just because you couldn't guard him.
Right. No, I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is what we would have hoped that Andrew Wiggins was going to become, or even O.J. Mayo. You know, 2 guys who were no slouches in their own era. But he is that tweener kind of ramen noodle Tracy McGrady type who's going to give you the work, give you some solid defense, and then when he comes in the clutch, he turns into a different player. I compare him to, Tracy McGrady. When Tracy McGrady was coming into his own in Toronto, and then when he went to the Magic, I think this is like similar to Tracy's first season with the Magic when Penny let him wear his number. It was incredible. And we were like, Tracy McGrady was playing second fiddle to Vince Carter and Damon Stoudemire up in Toronto. He comes down to Orlando, and he takes that team to the playoffs, and he was a possible MVP running that season as well. Didn't quite get over the hump, but I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, if he gets this MVP over Jason Tatum is an NBA champion. He's an Olympian, and Jokic. It will now put the proverbial target on the championship for OKC. You have to win it now. You, at minimum, make it to the Western Conference Finals. You do a first-round exit.
They do.
You got to go to the Western Conference Finals at minimum.
That was the $1 million question, which was the title of the last episode. Will it translate?
Right.
And my summary on that was, I think that it translates to a Western Conference Finals run at best, but that's at best. And ultimately at finals, no, because I think that there will still be an adjustment and acclimation across the roster to postseason atmosphere, what the calls are like, what the intensity is like, what the awareness level has to be at. And I think that gets them past a Minnesota, gets them past a 7-8 seed that they'll catch.
I think they got a real shot of beating
multiple
Memphis.
Veteran squads. Yeah, it gets them past the
Memphis and Minnesota.
But once you have to beat Denver, the Lakers, the Warriors.
That's what I was going at. Revamp Lakers. Yeah.
I think that there's too much acclimation to where you're going against vets that already are ready for Game 3, for Game 4, for Game 5. And you'll be right there.
And there's still a developing cast around Shea. Shea is the unicorn.
Shea's ready, but you got to be at least 1 through 6 or 7 ready.
Yes. Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth. Yes, go ahead.
There's some unfortunate irony there, possibly, with Oklahoma City, that they might have already shot themselves in the foot and don't know it. But you look at Josh Giddey, man. This is the same team
that traded away Durant,
on James Harden,
Westbrook.
We'll go this route, and Giddey's got a ways to go, but he was a part of the nucleus, and it got shaky, and we know why it did. But there's no reason to talk about it because he's straight.
Right? Yeah. There you go. Look, Josh
that
Giddey.
change to this team was, and that allowed this defensive persona that they have this season. Caruso brings that kind of energy and mentality to the locker room, as does Hardenstein. But they're gonna be asking a lot of Shea in the playoffs. And that's another reason why I think that, hey, a 7-gamer is going to be a lot of this herky-jerky you trying to do, big dog,
Let
and
me ask you
somebody's ready
this.
for it.
Do we see the emergence of Chet?
I don't think so, because I think that needs I think we're not there yet. I think we're not there yet. And it's okay that we're not there yet because we're early still. If we're trying to imagine a big picture, we'll get flashes of it, but I think that 24, 25, 26-year-old Chet is the Chet that I think he needs a runway of health and sustained high level. And that
I
was
agree.
jeopardized a month or two into the season with the hip injury. So what you'll take as a plus, and it's still going to be additive. I don't think you can get peak Chet in the middle of not being like 100% in his body. It helps. It's going to help a lot with Hartenstein, though, in the postseason. I think we'll see a combination of them inside where it's like,
I just think that if they go play the Nuggets, Jokic is going to cook these young guys. I mean, they have no inside presence. That's the one thing that really confused me about their record. They rely a lot on Shea. He's doing great. But
yeah,
the
undersized
team of
guys.
these guys are like Mighty Mouse. You know, it's like a team of 10 Damon Stoudemires. They get past you. They get in, get open
And
shots.
it works in the regular season.
It
But will
works in
that
the regular
translate?
season. You know, when you're going up against Nikola Jokic, catches it at the top of the three, ball fakes and pops a three. And then the very next play, he runs the floor and gets one of those awkward layups to fall. And then the very next play, he comes down, post up Hartenstein, spins off of him, comes back to the lane, underhand scoops him, timeout. Hartenstein is like, man, I should have stayed with the Bulls. This is some bullshit. I just got cooked. And then Chet Holmgren, he going out there with the boot, Nike Air boot, like Anthony Davis had. So you got to look at it from that perspective and say, Shai Gilgeous, you have a clone up in Minnesota also named Anthony Edwards. So are we seeing the reemergence of the dominant two guard in the NBA? Because these guys are tweeners right now, 6'5", 6'6" guys who are expected to carry a team deep into the playoffs with great regular season success. However, I also look at the Oklahoma City Thunder schedule throughout the season. It was pretty soft. You had San Antonio a lot, had Atlanta a lot, you know, had, Phoenix a lot of Portland games, a lot of Utah games. It was kind of soft. Not a lot of back-to-backs, had a few stretches, but not a lot. And I think that
Yeah, I think that
now,
they've got
yeah,
another hill. I think they got another leap to make. I think there's
I
another
mean,
leap to make.
they playing Charlotte a lot, you know?
No, that's
So
about it, man. I don't really have nothing else that we need to get to. I think Jalen Green has been hooping, man. Houston is still a problem, and Jalen Green's on that 2-guard list. He's 22 a night for the season. Leads Houston. They're top 2 seed in the West.
Houston is doing much better than I thought they would after the whole James Harden, Dwight Howard era experiment, if you will, the Euro ball of D'Antoni. They've come back to the era of Rudy Tomjanovich. They're playing basketball. I did watch a Houston Rockets game yesterday. A very crisp offense. They are we run the offense
They're
type team.
deep.
And they have a great defense, fifth in opponent's points
You
scored
saw
at
some of Ben
109.
Thompson then.
I'm like, yo, who is this
Ben
dude wiping the
Thompson's the real
glass?
deal.
Wiping the glass like Kevin
Ben
Willis. I'm like, who
Thompson's
is this guy?
yo.
Got to take some prop bets on him. Let me ask Darrell if he's got a prop bet list. Because the reality is,
he was who's hooping months ago.
dude, when you got a glass cleaner like that, that always creates problems for short guards that go cold. We saw it in the NCAA tournament with Alabama. Sears went out of business, and that was it. Bankrupt out of the tournament, and you don't expect to see that. And you saw it again today with Tennessee. What the heck was that? Tennessee, dude, they couldn't throw it in an ocean. They couldn't flush soupy poop, okay? Nothing was going down the hole for these guys. And Houston, again, playing that old school Columbus County basketball, We just gonna D you up and make open shots and keep running and keep rebounding. When you're tired, we're gonna keep running and keep rebounding. And when it goes, you're gonna look up and be like, "Yo, we lost by 20." That was the slowest
At least.
roll. It's slow roll blowouts. You still running offense. Hey, go, check, go. Left side. You down 6. Oh, steal. Down 8. Missed layup. Houston is on the run. Now you're down 12. You still running the offense though, because Houston, they're not running offense. They're capitalizing off of your mistakes. Houston, in their half-court offense, they get down to 7 seconds. That's old school North Carolina ball. And they try to get a layup, and they try to get an easy shot close to the basket. They rarely shoot threes. That's why the totals for the Houston games are 105 and just ridiculous stuff. But it's close to be hitting. Their total today was 125. It went over or under, but I know it was super cheap because
Went under.
yeah, it was like 111, something stupid.
Yeah, some of these other tournament games start today. But as far as
That's
what
my
we're
little
interested in,
cat.
that's about it, brother.
Yeah,
why-
man.
That's why I love that.
Yo, this was a
We gonna
great
wrap it up,
segment.
man.
Thank you for having me on. I mean, this is what it is, man. Late night basketball talk that you don't really get. You got to come to D Hoop University. You guys got to sign up for your curriculum because Dr. Harris here is really, he's a tough professor. He told JB, no, we're not doing that. I didn't get full credit tonight, I'm assuming.
No. You passed. We definitely got to pass.
Because
Pass
because
fail.
yeah, because of Cooper Flagg. I know. I said, "Hey, it's Chet Holmgren." He was like, "Nah." He was like, "Nah, homie.
My brother,
Not
man.
quite.
Nah,
Thank you."
that was like you said, it's late night.
Yeah.
We rocking and rolling. But I appreciate each time and there's
And I'll see
plenty
you
on the
Tuesday.
table.
I'll see you Tuesday.
Remember, you seen Norbit. Tuesday.
He was like, "But
As
JB, make sure
always.
you don't hit that pothole." I'm like, "I got you. I heard
Yeah.
you."
Find JB on Instagram.
Right
JB
there,
the
guys.
Ticket.
Right there. I don't know how to point at it. There it goes.
Bingo.
Yeah, man. Thank you
Tap
so
in
much.
with the pod. Like, follow, subscribe, engage on socials. It's time to
Yeah.
show up. It's time to show up. Bring your notes.
You guys got to
Bring
show
your
up to
notes.
D Hoop
We're
University
gonna ask you to take them out the bag.
because if you don't get your degree from this university, you're merely an NIL kid, meaning you're getting nil.
Till next time.